back to the deep dive. Today, we are tackling something that on the surface feels like a simple list, a really, really long list.
That's putting it mildly.
Right. But once you start to peel back the layers, it turns into something else entirely.
Yeah.
It becomes a map of the universe and honestly, a map of the human psyche. We are looking at the Shiva Sahasranama.
Literally the 1,000 names of Shiva.
And I have to be honest, when I first looked at the source material, I was a little intimidated. 1,000 names. It feels like reading a phone book from, ancient India. My first thought was, okay, that's a lot of memorization. Is this just a roll call of the gods?
A very common first impression.
But looking through the material we have today, and we're focusing specifically on the first section, so names 1 through 87, it becomes clear very, very quickly this isn't a roll call. It's like a code.
Yeah, it's absolutely a code. You have to understand that in the Sanskrit tradition, a name isn't just a label you'd put on a name tag at a conference.
Right.
It's a definition. It's a capsule of energy, of history, of philosophy. So when you recite these names, you aren't just calling out to a deity. You are describing the functions of reality itself. You're contemplating the very structure of your own consciousness.
That's what hooked me, that idea. We're not just talking about a guy sitting on a mountain. We're talking about abstract concepts like time, sound, silence, and destruction, all personified. It's dense stuff.
Incredibly dense.
But before we get into the heavy philosophy, and trust me, we will get there, I want to start where the text asks us to start. It asks us to visualize something.
The dhyanam, the meditation verse.
Exactly. And this really surprised me because usually when I see pop culture depictions of Shiva, posters, statues, temples, he's blue, right? Or maybe white, like camphor.
Yes, that's the common iconography.
But the source text here, it describes a visual that is radiant, like molten gold.
It's a striking image, isn't it? The text says, Tapta Kankana Sankasam, shining like heated gold.
Why start there? I mean, why change the color palette right at the door? What's the significance of gold?
Well, it's about a couple of things. First, value and immutability. Think about gold. It's the one metal that doesn't really tarnish. It doesn't rust. You can bury it for 1,000 years, dig it up, and it's still radiant.
Right, it's incorruptible.
Exactly. So by visualizing him as golden, you're meditating on his imperishability. But there's another layer. The word tapta means heated. This isn't cold gold sitting in a vault. This is active, radiant, fiery energy. It's setting the tone that Shiva isn't just a passive observer. He's vibrant.
So we're not supposed to be picturing the ascetic meditating in a frozen cave. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet. Right now, you're picturing a radiant, almost regal, energetic being.
And he's sitting under a tree, but not just any tree.
The Kalpavriksha, the wish-fulfilling tree.
That feels like a huge paradox, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, usually you go to Shiva to renounce the world, to give up your desires. But here he is, sitting right under the very symbol of getting whatever you want.
It is a paradox, and that's the whole point. The Kalpavriksha represents the total abundance of the universe. It suggests that while Shiva is often associated with asceticism, he's sitting right at the source of all material desire and fulfillment. He isn't running away from it.
He's sitting under it, perfectly at peace.
Exactly. It sets up this core idea that you don't have to leave the world to find the divine. He is right there in the center of all that abundance, but he isn't grabbing at the fruit. He's just sitting there.
It's like finding a monk sitting inside a vault at the Federal Reserve, just perfectly calm.
But that is the perfect image. Yes, he has access to infinite wealth, infinite fulfillment, but he is completely content within himself.
And he's not alone in this vault. This isn't the lonely hermit image we sometimes get. The text is very clear. It describes him embracing the goddess Parvati, who is sitting on his left side.
It's a very intimate domestic image.
Totally. He's got the crescent moon on his head, 3 eyes, and he's holding an axe and a deer. And then he's flanked by his sons, Ganesha and Kartikeya. It's a full family portrait.
It is. And that visual grounding is so crucial. Because the philosophy we're about to unpack, the meanings of these first 87 names, it's going to take us to some very abstract, very lofty places.
Okay.
It's going to talk about formlessness, the void, the destruction of the universe. If you don't ground that in a relatable, almost tangible image of a radiant being with a family, the philosophy can become too cold, too distant.
It gives you an anchor.
The dhyana basically says, look at this form first, connect with this person now. Let's see what he really is.
All right, so let's do exactly that. We have this golden image in our heads. The family is there. Now the text starts the chanting. Let's jump into the first section. The text opens with what feels like a primordial trinity of names. Name number 1 is Bhava.
Bhava, such a simple sound, but it carries the entire weight of existence. Bhava comes from the root word bhu,
Which means
to be or to become. The source explains that Bhava is the cause of the creation and the maintenance of the entire world.
So wait, before he is the destroyer, he is existence itself.
Precisely. Think of Bhava as the soil. You can't have a tree without the soil. The soil isn't the tree, but the tree is the soil in a different form. Bhava implies that Shiva isn't some architect building a house out of bricks he bought at, Home Depot.
Right.
He is the bricks. He is the house. He's the becoming of the universe itself.
That reframes the whole idea of God right from the very first name. It's not an external manager, it's the fabric of reality.
Correct. It's the state of isness.
Yeah.
You cannot destroy something that doesn't exist. So first you must have Bhava. It is the origin point. Everything that is Bhava.
And then immediately, name number 2 is Shiva, which is the title of the text, obviously.
Yeah.
But the definition here goes way, way beyond just a name. The text defines Shiva as pure consciousness.
And this is where we hit the first major philosophical concept. And honestly, it's the crown jewel of Vedantic psychology, Turiya.
Okay, let's unpack this. The source mentions this Turiya state. What exactly is that? Because I know waking and I know sleeping. That feels pretty complete.
Okay, so think about your daily life. The texts say you have 3 standard states of consciousness. You have waking, that's Jagrat, that's us right now, talking, perceiving the world. Our senses are turned outward.
Check. I see the microphone, I hear you. Got it.
Then you have dreaming swapna. The body is asleep, eyes are closed, but the mind is creating its own reality. You're flying, you're fighting monsters, you're scared, you're happy. To the dream you, it feels totally real.
Until I wake up and realize it was just a mental movie, yeah.
Right. And finally, you have deep sleep sushupti, dreamless sleep, total unconsciousness. You wake up and say, I slept like a log. You weren't aware of anything, no dreams, no thoughts, nothing.
So that's the 3. Waking, dreaming, blackout.
But the ancient seers, the rishis, they asked a very specific, very clever question. When you wake up from deep sleep and say, I saw nothing, or I slept so well, who is the I that knows you saw nothing?
Wait, hold on. If I was unconscious, how do I know I was unconscious?
Precisely. There had to be something witnessing the blankness. There is a background camera that never turns off. It watches you wake, it watches you dream, and it watches you sleep. That background witness, that 4th state that illuminates the other 3, is Turiya, and the text identifies Shiva as that state.
So Shiva isn't just a god in the movie of my life, he's the screen the movie is being projected on.
That is a perfect analogy, and the source adds a fascinating paradox here. It says the name Shiva means the auspicious one or the pure one, but it also notes that his true nature, his true meaning, is so subtle, so vast, that even other gods like Brahma cannot fully comprehend it.
It says he is beyond the senses and the mind, which makes sense. The eye cannot see itself. If Shiva is the consciousness watching the mind can't turn around and grab him.
Exactly. You can't grasp the grasper. He is the screen. The fire, the water, the romance, the tragedy, it all plays on him, but it never burns him or wets him. He remains the pure, untouched screen of consciousness.
That is actually incredibly comforting. It means there's a part of me, a part of you, that is never tired, never stressed, never hurt by what's happening on the screen.
Correct. And that leads directly to the 3rd name in the Trinity. If you are the screen, what happens to the movie when it's over? Name number 3, Hara.
Hara. This is usually translated as the destroyer, and the text definitely acknowledges that. It says he is the one who destroys the world at the time of pralaya, the cosmic dissolution.
Yes, but let's look at the word literally. Hara comes from the root harati, which means to take away.
That sounds like theft. Or seizure.
Or surgery.
Surgery. How so?
Think about it. The source says Hara also means the remover, specifically, the one who removes the sorrows of the world. If you have a tumor, a source of pain, you want a surgeon to take it away. If you have sorrow, if you're trapped in a painful situation, you want Hara.
Wow. Okay, that changes the entire vibe of the word.
It does. It's a beautiful linguistic dualism. What is destruction, really? When you destroy a prison, you are liberating the prisoners. When you destroy ignorance, you reveal knowledge. In this context, Shiva isn't destroying things out of malice or chaos. He is Hara. He takes away. He takes away the structures that cause pain. He takes away the finite so that the infinite can be realized.
So that reframes his whole destroyer reputation. It's like sometimes you have to tear down a rotting house to stop the family inside from getting sick. It's an act of mercy.
It is an act of compassion. And that triad bhava, Shiva, Hurrah, sets the entire stage. We have the source of existence, the witnessing consciousness, and the force of transformation. Now that the text has established who he is, essentially, it starts to zoom out to show us how he looks on a cosmic scale.
And this is where the text starts really blurring the lines between deities. I think for a listener who maybe knows a little bit about Hinduism, they usually think of the Trinity. Brahma creates, Vishnu preserves, Shiva destroys, separate departments, separate
It's the
emails.
standard org chart.
Yeah. But this text just throws that org chart right out the window.
It absolutely does. It explicitly references the Purusha Sukta, which is a famous ancient hymn from the Vedas that's dedicated to the cosmic being, the cosmic person, who is very often identified with Vishnu.
Right. Name 3 connects him to the thousand-headed cosmic being, Sahasrashirsha Purusha. And name 20 explicitly says he is Mahavishnu Swarupa, having the form of great Vishnu.
It's a crucial point for anyone trying to understand this system. In these high-level philosophical texts, the boundaries between the gods become fluid, almost transparent. The text is saying, you think Shiva is different from Vishnu. Look closer.
Yeah.
When you view the divine as the infinite cosmic structure, the Vishvarupa, the universal form, there is no difference.
It's all one IT department, to use my analogy.
It's all one consciousness. Shiva is the 1,000 heads, the 1,000 eyes, the 1,000 feet.
And speaking of eyes and feet, there's a great line in the source material for that. It says something like, since God exists as all living beings, every eye that sees and every foot that walks effectively belongs to him.
It's a terrifying and comforting thought at the same time, isn't it?
Totally. It means there are no private moments. But it also means you are never, ever truly alone. Your seeing is his seeing. It transforms the whole world into a single living organism.
It absolutely does. And the text then connects him to the elements in a way that feels very primal, very fundamental. Name 4 is Surya, the sun.
The sun. And the description is so gentle, the one who causes lotuses to bloom. That's a lovely image for the destroyer.
It emphasizes his role as the nourisher, the energizer. The sun is the ultimate source of energy for our solar system. Without that fire, there's no life. Shiva is that fire. But then you have to immediately contrast that with name 9, Stanu.
Stanu. The text defines this as standing motionless and firm like a pillar.
Or a tree trunk that has been stripped of its branches. Just a solid, unmoving vertical presence.
So why is that important? Why do we need a pillar in the middle of all this cosmic action?
Because the universe is chaotic. Look around. It's constantly moving, changing, exploding, dying. For there to be a dance, there must be a still point at the center. Stanu represents that absolute stillness in the center of the cyclone. He is the stability that allows the chaos to happen around him without being affected by it.
So we have the sun, which is all dynamic energy, and the pillar, which is absolute stillness. The text is just constantly giving us these pairs of opposites.
And that's the key to decoding this entire text. Shiva is the union of opposites. He doesn't choose one side. He is the bridge that holds both together in a perfect dynamic tension.
All right, let's move to the iconography. Section 3 of our deep dive. The source text goes into a lot of detail about the things he is holding or wearing. And again, these are not just fashion choices. They are deep symbols.
Let's start with the most famous one, the trident, the shula.
Name 17. Shulapani, the holder of the trident. Now, in pop culture, a trident is just a weapon. It looks cool, it's distinctive. But the source text gives us the specific coding here. It explains that the 3 points represent the destruction of the 3 gunas. The gunas. Okay, we need to clarify those for the listener because that sounds like a bit of jargon.
Sure. Think of the gunas as the operating system of reality. In Indian philosophy, all of nature, what they call prakriti, is made of 3 fundamental strands or qualities: sattva, rajas, and tamas.
Break them down for us.
So tamas is inertia, darkness, heaviness. It's a rock. It's you when you can't get off the couch on a Sunday morning. It's necessary for sleep and for stability, but too much of it is laziness and ignorance.
Okay, so tamas is the couch potato mode. I know that one well.
Then there is rajas. That's passion, activity, movement. It's a cheetah running. It's a CEO working an 80-hour week. It's desire, ambition, restlessness.
So rajas is the hustle culture. Got it.
Exactly. And finally, you have sattva. Purity, harmony, balance, light. It's a saint meditating. It's a clear, sunny day. It's knowledge, peace, clarity.
That sounds like the goal then.
Right.
To be sattvic.
It is a goal, but here is the kicker. Even sattva, even pure goodness is still a trap. It's still part of the game of nature. It's a golden chain, but it's still a chain. To be truly free, to reach that Turiya state we talked about, you have to transcend all 3. You have to go beyond nature itself.
So the trident isn't for fighting demons or bad guys. It's for piercing through the very fabric of reality itself.
That's the highest meaning, yes. The three prongs symbolize that he has mastered tamas, mastered rajas, and even mastered sattva. He holds them, they don't hold him. He is trigunatmaka, beyond the three qualities.
Yeah, I love that. He's holding the source code of the matrix in his hand.
It's a very modern way to put it, but yes, he's a system administrator.
What about the moon? Names 22 and 23, Chandrapita and Chandramoli. He wears the moon like a crown or like a flower in his hair.
The visual contrast is what's really important here. Shiva is so often associated with fire. He has the third eye, which shoots fire. He lives in cremation grounds. He is heat, intensity. The moon, Chandra, is the ultimate symbol of coolness. It represents the mind, emotions, poetry, and delight.
So he keeps a cool head.
Literally and metaphorically. Even as the destroyer, even as the fierce ascetic, he carries this symbol of softness and coolness on his head. It's another balance. Fire in the third eye, moon in the hair, destruction and delight existing in the very same space. It teaches us that you can be powerful and fierce, but you must maintain a cool, reflective mind.
Then we have the river Ganga, named 12, Gangadhara, holding the mighty river Ganga in his matted locks.
Right. This refers to the myth where the celestial river Ganga was descending to Earth. But her force was so great, so violent, that she would have shattered the planet if she landed directly.
Like a cosmic fire hose hitting a sandcastle.
That's a great image for it, exactly. So Shiva steps in, he offers to catch her, he stands there, and she falls directly onto his head. He traps her in his matted hair, his jada to break her fall, effectively slowing her down, and then he releases her gently onto the earth as a life-giving, life-sustaining stream.
It's a story about flow control.
It is. But deeper than that, it's about mediating intense power. Knowledge or spiritual energy, grace can be overwhelming. If you get too much too fast, it can shatter your psyche. You need a filter. You need a stabilizer. Shiva acts as that transformer, stepping down the high voltage of the infinite into a current that the world can actually handle.
Speaking of things that the world can handle, we have to talk about the blue throat. Neelakantha, name 75. This is probably my favorite story in the entire mythology.
It is one of the most defining moments. The churning of the ocean, the Samudra Manthan, the gods and demons are working together, which almost never happens, churning the cosmic ocean to get the nectar of immortality.
They want the good stuff, the ultimate prize.
Exactly. But before the nectar comes up, what emerges first?
The poison, hala hala.
A poison so virulent, so toxic, that the fumes alone start causing the gods and demons to faint. It threatens to wipe out all of existence, and nobody knows what to do with it. You can't drink it, obviously, but you can't just throw it away because it will pollute everything.
It's the ultimate cosmic toxic waste problem.
So Shiva steps in. He takes the cup of poison, and he drinks it. But, and this is the absolute key to the whole story, he doesn't swallow it down into his stomach.
Why not?
Because in Hindu cosmology, the universe is inside his stomach. If he swallows it, he destroys all the worlds that exist within him. But he doesn't spit it out either, because that would destroy the world outside of him.
So he's trapped. He has to hold it.
He holds it
right
in his throat. The poison is arrested there. Its virulence is so powerful that it turns his throat blue. Hence, Neelakantha, the blue-throated one.
I've always interpreted this as the ultimate act of leadership. It's taking on the toxic stuff that nobody else wants to deal with, the criticism, the failures, the bad news, and just holding it. You don't let it rot your inside so you don't become bitter, but you don't spit it out and yell at your team either. You just contain it, you neutralize it so the rest of the team can get to the nectar.
That is a brilliant, brilliant application of the myth. It's the willingness to contain the negativity of the environment without letting it corrupt your core or letting it spill back out onto others. It represents this incredible self-sacrifice and the transmutation of suffering. It's what makes him Mahadeva, the great god. Not his power to kill, but his power to suffer for others.
Let's move on to the other weapons, the axe and the bow. We have Parashvati, holder of the axe, and Pinaki, holder of the bow named Pinaka.
The axe, the parashu, is described in the source as having the power to uproot the tree of worldly existence, the tree of samsara.
So again, destruction as a form of liberation, chopping down the cycle of birth and death. It's not about chopping wood, it's about chopping your attachment.
Precisely. And the bow, Pinaka, name 20, actually mentions that he uses Mount Meru, the cosmic mountain, the axis of the world, as his bow. It just shows the scale we're dealing with again. His tools are the very building blocks of the universe.
This leads us perfectly into section 4, the fierce aspects, because having an axe is one thing, but, using it is another. And the source text does not shy away from the violent mythology. In fact, it gets pretty graphic.
It does. We have to address the name Kapali, the one associated with the skull and the story of Brahma's head.
This is name 58, and frankly, this story is wild. The text tells the story of Brahma, the creator god, becoming lustful toward his own daughter.
Which is a heavy, very symbolic myth.
It is shocking to read.
It is meant to be. Brahma represents the intellect, the creative mind, but the myth says that the creative force became enamored with its own creation. It lost its objectivity, it got attached in an unhealthy way.
So the creator falls in love with the thing he made.
To an obsessive degree. The story says she tried to escape his gaze. She went north, south, east, west. And Brahma, in his arrogance and desire, sprouted 4 heads so he could watch her everywhere she went. He wanted total control.
The ultimate surveillance state.
And then she flew up into the sky to escape. And Brahma, not taking no for an answer, sprouted a 5th head on top of the others just to look up at her.
That is the ultimate personification of ego. I made this, I own this, I will see everything.
And that's when Shiva enters. He sees this gross violation of cosmic law. The intellect has gone rogue. So Shiva appears, and with the tip of his fingernail, he just flicks that 5th head right off.
Just snips it off like that.
Snip. The head falls. And for this act, he has to do penance, which is another long story, but the act itself is what's key.
That is a brutal image. You are maiming the creator god.
You are pruning him. You are cutting off the hubris. This is why Shiva is sometimes called the supreme guru. The hardest thing for an advanced spiritual practitioner to kill isn't lust or anger. It's spiritual pride. The party that thinks, I am the creator, I am wise, I am special. That is Brahma's 5th head. And Shiva is the force that humiliates that pride to bring you back to reality. It's a hard reset for the ego.
The text also mentions him later chasing Brahma, who had taken the form of a deer, and striking him with an arrow. It really emphasizes that Shiva is the one who keeps the other gods in line. He's the enforcer.
He is the Ishvara, the ruler, the controller. He enforces the Dharma even on the gods themselves when they stray.
Then there's the story of the skin of the man-lion, named 60, Krittivasa, the one who wears a skin as a garment. This refers to Vishnu's avatar, Narasimha.
Right, so Narasimha was the half-man, half-lion form that Vishnu took to kill the demon Hiranyakashipu. It was a terrifying, ferocious form, absolute, pure, divine rage.
But the text says Shiva wore the skin of that Narasimha form as a garment. What is that about?
This is a very specific sect of mythology, and it's important that the text includes it, which asserts Shiva's ultimate supremacy. It suggests that after Narasimha finished his job, his ferocity was so great, it was in danger of consuming the world. It needed to be contained. By wearing the skin, Shiva is saying, I can encompass even the most terrifying wrath of the preserver. He integrates that ferocity into his own being.
It's like wearing a trophy, but on a cosmic level. I am the container for all energy, even divine wrath.
Exactly. He contains the container.
And we can't talk about fierce aspects without mentioning the burning of Kamadeva, the god of love or desire.
Manmatha. Literally the mind churner.
The text calls Shiva the ruler of Manmatha. This refers to the famous story where Kamadeva is sent by the gods to shoot Shiva with a flower arrow to make him fall in love, to break his deep meditation.
Kamadeva thought he could distract the absolute. He shoots the arrow, and Shiva doesn't fall in love. He just opens his 3rd eye, the eye of wisdom of Jnana, and a beam of pure consciousness shoots out and burns Kamadeva to ash.
Just incinerates him on the spot.
This is so crucial. Kamadeva represents desire. Not just sexual desire, but the fundamental craving that drives the mind outward toward objects. Kama. Shiva burning him signifies the complete destruction of that outward flowing desire, and the absolute triumph of inner focus over outer distraction.
But, and here is a paradox again, always a paradox, Shiva eventually marries Parvati anyway. He burns the god of love, but then becomes the ultimate lover and husband.
And that leads us right into section 5 of our dive, the paradoxical nature, because you simply cannot pin him down.
On one hand, he is described as the best of yogis, Yoginamvara.
He represents jnana, knowledge, and sannyasa, renunciation. Name 35 says he is attainable only through knowledge. Jnanad eva tu kaivalyam. This paints a picture of a being who is completely detached, solitary, needing nothing, the ultimate monk on the mountain.
But then you look at name 30, Gauri Partha, the husband of Gauri, and name 6, always united with the primal energy, with Prakriti.
This is the divine householder. He isn't sitting alone in a void. He is fully engaged in a relationship, in a family. He bridges that enormous gap between the hermit life and family life.
I think that's why Shiva is so popular, so relatable to so many. He validates both paths. You can be a monk, or you can be a parent, and Shiva is the archetype for both.
He shows that you can be in the world but not of it. You can be the husband of Gauri, participating in the beautiful drama of creation, while simultaneously being the supreme ascetic who burns all desire to ash. You can hold the connection and the detachment at the exact same time.
And then there's the paradox of wealth. We talked about the golden visual earlier. Name 71 says he is the friend of Kubera, the lord of wealth, and that Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity, resides near him.
He has access to everything. And yet, how is he depicted?
Covered in ash, wearing animal skins, living in a graveyard with ghosts and goblins as his companions.
He possesses everything, yet owns nothing. He is the friend of the Lord of Wealth, meaning he has access to infinite resources, but he chooses radical simplicity. It's a profound statement about value. True wealth isn't the gold you hoard, it's the sovereignty of not needing the gold in the first place.
He's the minimalist billionaire of the cosmos.
In a way, yes. He has that molten gold radiance we visualized at the beginning, but he wears the ash of the cremation ground. Gold and ash. Ultimate value and the end of all value, together.
Okay, let's dive into our last big section here, the metaphysical attributes. We've talked about his form and his myths, but what are his abstract superpowers, so to speak?
Time is the big one. Name 59 says he is the death of Yama.
And Yama is the god of death.
Right. Yama steals the lives of creatures. He's the end of the line for everyone. But Shiva is called Kalakala, the death of death, or, more literally, the time of time.
Whoa, the death of death. That sounds like a heavy metal album, but it's incredibly deep philosophy.
It relates to the story of the sage Markandeya. He was a boy who was destined to die at 16 years old. It was written in the stars. When his 16th birthday arrived, Yama, the god of death, appeared and threw his noose to take the boy's soul. Markandeya ran to a temple and hugged the Shiva lingam. He held on for dear life.
And Yama threw the noose anyway, right over him.
He did. And the noose caught both the boy and the Shiva lingam. That was a big mistake. Shiva burst out of the lingam in a rage and kicked Yama in the chest, effectively killing death itself.
So he literally stopped death.
He stopped the process of time for his devotee. If Shiva is pure consciousness, the Turiya state, he stands outside of time. Time exists within him. He does not exist within time. Therefore, he's the master of time, and when needed, the destroyer of death.
That brings a whole new meaning to the idea of immortality. It's not just living forever in this body. It's stepping into the zone where time doesn't even apply.
Exactly. It's stepping out of the river and onto the bank and watching the river flow by.
Then we have speech and knowledge. Name 46 is Vagisha, the lord of speech, and another name, Ishana, the ruler of all knowledge.
In the Vedic tradition, sound is sacred. The universe is created through vibration, through the sound of Om. Shiva, as the Lord of Speech, is the source of that primordial vibration. He is the source of the Vedas, of grammar, of all language. All communication, all knowledge ultimately flows from him.
So he's not just a silent meditator. He is the articulate source of all wisdom.
Remember the drum he holds in his other depictions, the Damaru. It is said to beat out the rhythm of the Sanskrit alphabet, the rhythm of language itself. The source says Ishana rules all knowledge. So whether it's physics, poetry, or computer coding, it all ultimately flows from that one source of consciousness.
And finally, we have the path to salvation. The text describes him as Svargasadhana, the means to heaven.
And not just heaven in the afterlife sense, but also the fulfillment of the proper goals of life. Dharma, righteousness, artha, wealth, kama, pleasure. The text says he embodies and grants all of these. He isn't just for the renunciate.
And he creates Dritaprajna, firm intellect, in his devotees.
That is such a specific and powerful psychological gift. Drita means firm, solid, unshakable. Prajna is wisdom or intellect. In a world of doubt, confusion, misinformation, and fake news, having a firm, unwavering intellect is perhaps the greatest blessing you can ask for. Shiva grants clarity, the ability to see things as they are without the wobble of the indecisive mind.
So we've been on quite a journey today.
We certainly have.
We started under a wish-fulfilling tree, visualizing a golden figure with his family. We realized that this figure is actually primordial existence, Pava, and the silent witness of consciousness, Shiva. We saw him expand into a 1,000-headed cosmic giant who creates the sun and holds the universe steady like a pillar.
We looked at his toolkit, the trident that pierces through the fabric of nature, the axe that cuts the root of attachment, the moon that cools the fiery mind.
We walked through some incredibly intense myths, snipping off Brahma's ego, wearing the skin of a lion avatar, burning the god of desire to a crisp.
And we've tried to reconcile the paradoxes, the supreme yogi and the perfect husband, the pauper who owns the entire universe, the destroyer who is the ultimate remover of sorrow.
It really confirms what we said right at the start. The Sahasranama isn't a list, it's a hologram. You look at any one name, and if you look deep enough, you see the entire picture reflected within it.
It forces you to expand your definition of the divine. We like to put God in a neat little box. God is love, or God is a judge. The Shiva Sahasranama says yes and. He is love, and he is terror. He is silence, and he is sound. He's the atom, and he's the universe.
That actually brings me to the final thought I wanted to leave our listeners with, a little nugget from the text that we touched on briefly, but I think is worth letting simmer. Name 29 says he is Sarvatra, he is everywhere, but other names describe him as the Anu, the atom, and the Aparichidya, the unbounded, the immeasurable.
The ultimate contradiction of scale.
Exactly. How can one entity be the smallest conceivable building block of reality subatomic and yet simultaneously be too vast to be measured? It sounds like modern physics, the quantum realm versus the theory of relativity.
It does. It suggests that the fundamental nature of reality is the same at the smallest possible scale as it is at the largest possible scale, and that consciousness is the mysterious bridge that connects the two.
A thought to ponder until our next deep dive. If you want to find the infinite, do you look out at the stars or do you look in at the atom? The answer apparently is just yes.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us on this decoding of the infinite. We'll see you next time.
Bye.